avoidance, whether that's dismissive or fearful, are very, very similar, if not the same thing as addiction. And the way that I want to frame this is by referring to Russell Brand's book, Recovery, which is amazing. And it's all about how so many of us are addicts without realizing it, because we're mainstream addicts. We're addicted to our phones, we're addicted to sugar, we're addicted to things that are kind of socially acceptable, that we laugh about even, like, oh, I had so much chocolate at the weekend. And we kind of really suppress our emotions with these things, but it's okay because everybody does it and everybody does do it. But avoidance is doing that to more of a degree, where they're using things and doing and engaging in certain behaviors that suppress their emotions and their ability to connect with themselves, because they're often carrying a lot of shame. So like with addiction, this changes when someone reaches rock bottom. You hear about it all the time in the addiction space. And I studied this in my master's degree at university. And I found it so fascinating to see that so much of the time, people who were addicted or are addicts and recovering addicts, they reached rock bottom. And I've seen this also with avoidance, people who historically showed up as avoidant. They just reach a point, and it's an unknown point. We don't know when it's going to happen or if it's going to happen, where they become so sick of themselves. They are facing so much loss. They're seeing the destruction of how they've showed up in their relationships, and they finally go, oh my God, I can't live like this for the rest of my life. And the thing is that often it's harder for avoidance than addicts to get to this point, because the things that they engage in are less likely to cause obvious harm to themselves. Like, they don't realise that scrolling on their phones or shutting down is harming their nervous system and their relationships, because they're using it to numb themselves rather than to, get drunk or end up, paralytic or in a hospital or something like that. These things are so much more socially acceptable, and their behavior is much more accepted by people in general. And often what happens is that the people who love them around them, and the same with addicts as well, they're surrounded by people who enable these things to continue, because they have such deep empathy, they care, they see that the avoidant is not a bad person, they're struggling, they're in pain, and their childhood has led them to being the way they are now. And often people who are anxious or highly empathetic or sensitive are drawn to these people because they see them for who they are, really who they could be. And that high empathy leads them to holding a lot of space for their addiction, basically, their addiction to their avoidance. And I was talking to a client earlier, and she was telling me about a video where Matthew Hussey, and I love Matthew Hussey, he just says it so clearly sometimes, doesn't he? But he was saying that really we have such a high amount of empathy for these people, but we've got to trade that in for creating space and keeping a distance from these people to protect ourselves. So we lovingly detach. And this is what they say in the addiction space too. When you are with someone, or you've got someone in your life who you love, who is addicted to something that you know is harming them and all of their relationships, the best and most loving thing that you can do for them is detach with love. Okay, detach with love. Now, that quote that I said from Matthew Hussey, I didn't word it correctly, but it was something along those lines that's very similar to the statement, detach with love. You've got to actually not become, like I've said before, the collateral damage of someone else's addiction. Even if you love and care for them, that can still be true at the same time as holding space. And often what happens with avoidance is that not enough people are seeing it as a problem to stop enabling them. And because they often have a really big story about why they are the way they are. You know, their parents were this way or that way, and it makes a lot of sense to someone looking in why someone would be this way. They're deeply hurt. They don't know how to face and feel their emotions. They've never known, because they created this pattern and this strategy from when they were very young. So they're not bad people. So villainizing them really deepens the wound. But it's really important to protect yourself at the same time. Okay. So this is why I love that phrase, detach with love, because it means that you still get to have that empathy, but you're actually using it in a different way that is allowing them space to get to the point that they need to get to in order to create the transformation that they need. And, you know, I've seen this before. Like I said in a previous video, that I went to a conference where there was all these people who'd got to their rock bottom, and they'd been avoidant, they'd been, you know, engaging in this kind of toxic behavior all their life, and their relationships had been ruined. Marriages were like on the floor. Their wives or husbands wanted to divorce them. Things were just going down the drain, and they were experiencing that loss because people had had enough of their shit. And it's really not about kind of tiptoeing around it anymore, because when someone's behaving in a way that's hurting people around them, they've got to know, they've got to find out what they're doing. They've got to experience the consequences of their actions. Otherwise, they do not learn. And it's the same with everybody in life. But often, these people who don't and are not willing to change, not willing to look at themselves, they have been surrounded by people who are enabling them. And it's really hard if you're watching this video thinking, how can I, you know, you want to love this person better. You want to be able to see them, to see that they're safe, that you can be that person who's going to transform them with you or for you, whatever. But it's not your job. And that's the thing. It's like, are you going to enable them, or are you going to be a catalyst for change in this person's life? You know, because you can stand in one of two pitches. You know, often people who are in relationships with someone who is showing up as avoidant are looking at the people in their life going, why do they allow this? Why is their mother this way? Why is their sister singing their praises? Why is everybody blanking out all of their faults, all of the shit that they do, and now I have to pay for it? You know? So it's like, it's really hard because you feel really gaslit around those people because everybody else is like singing their praises, and you're seeing, no, this person is highly avoidant. They're going to ruin all of their relationships, and they're going to ruin their own life, and they're going to make themselves very unhappy. And unless everybody goes, right, we're not dealing with this anymore, you've hurt one too many people, sort it out, that's when rock bottom happens. And it could be, you know, it could be triggered by other things too. Like I've seen it happen where someone was triggered into rock bottom by, must have just been ready when they watched a movie. And I can't remember what movie it was. I wish I could remember, because then, you know, we could all go and tell everyone to watch this movie. But this person must have been spoken to by a particular movie or a particular part of a movie, and it led them to a place of, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm doing the same thing. So you never know how the messenger is going to get to this person. But by, you know, often a lot of anxious people, what they want to do is they want to give them the message directly. Here is the information you need. Now you can take it and change your life. Please do it, because I want to be with you and I love you and I really care about you, and also I want to be loved. So there's an element of, when we're trying to do it for them, we're controlling the situation, which is no good for them or you. And it keeps everybody stuck. But yeah, the best thing to do is detach with love, as hard as that might be. It's not saying goodbye forever, F you. None of that passive aggressive stuff is useful at all, because it's not who you want to be, is it? It's just the acknowledgement of, this sucks for everyone. It hurts. And I don't want to have to detach from you, but I know I have to. And I know this is hard for you as well, because it's not just hard for you, it's hard for them too. They really struggle to let you go a lot of the time because they're unwilling to face their stuff. So what you've got to be careful with is when someone who is avoidant is starting to feel little glimmers of grief or sadness or regret, they might come to you and go, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I have treated you this way. And then if you go, it's okay, don't worry, I get it, I understand, and you're back in there straight away just because they said the word sorry, then that's not detaching with love. That's accepting words over actions, which is enabling them. And you're soothing that guilt so that they can numb it again. Okay? So it's like, it's got to be actions over words, and it's encouraging people with love and also setting firm boundaries that actually helps them to get to rock bottom. And a lot of the time I've seen it that people are just hoping that if they just stay enough, or if they just... And by the way, this is how you manifest change. If anybody here is still wanting to know about manifestation, this is an embodiment of self-love that creates a ripple effect in your life that shows people how you lead the way on how you want to be treated, how you want to be and feel about yourself, so that others can be inspired by that. That is manifesting change in relationship dynamics. And it works. I've seen transformations in relationships. And this, again, is not to hold on to false hope, because I think the best thing you can do is say, this person as they are now is never, ever going to be right for me. I cannot accept that in my life. The end. Because that actually helps to shut the door so that they go and do the work, and so that you do the work on yourself. Because if you think about it, are you that much different? Because your addiction might be them. So this is where we all have these blind spots where we've got to be able to reflect on and work on our own numbing of our emotions. And by perpetually continuing to try and diagnose and understand this person, you are avoiding your own pain. So that's your avoidance. And if you just sit with it and go, you know what, this is shit and this sucks, and I am really sad and really disappointed that this is how it is. And that's what you've got to face, and that's what you've got to feel, what you've got to release, ideally with people, because we heal in community and connection, not in isolation. So where you can express this to someone who gets it, who understands, you're halfway there. It's so true. A problem shared is a problem halved. So yeah, thought I'd share this. Thought it was like such an important, interesting point. And yeah, like I say, I did so much work on addiction in my master's degree, which was in songwriting, but I studied addiction and the 12-step recovery program. And I did so much research on it and noticed so many similarities between avoidance and addiction, and wrote 12 songs about it, which I've released some of them, but not all of them. But yeah, they're very good. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below if this resonates. And if you would like someone to talk to about this, if you'd like to process where you're at. I know it's not easy to detach with love. And it doesn't make any bloody sense because you love this person. So it just feels so counterintuitive. But if you want some support, wherever you're at, I get it because I've lived it. I know how hard this is. Then I'm here to talk to. You can find out about my one-to-one options in the links below. I have got 2 packages left where you can get an extra session for free. It's not on the website, but if you book it, then I will add on that extra session. So, yeah. So I hope you've had a good day, everybody. I hope this video has been insightful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.